Fire your entire team by Friday or I'll do it myself, Gemma said, drumming her crimson nails against my desk calendar, her voice carrying the dullness of someone talking about the weather instead of 8 people's futures. I tightened my grip on my pen, the plastic groaning under the pressure. They've surpassed every goal this quarter. Numbers on spreadsheets don't matter, Nora. She leaned closer, her breath laced with mint gum. Your quirky collection of misfits costs twice what standard teams do. The decision is made. Through the glass walls of my office, I watched my team working. Bree with her headphones on, fingers racing across the keyboard as she coded. Owen sketching product ideas, his forehead creased in focus. Ela speaking animatedly with a client over the phone. They deserve proper notice, I said, keeping my voice steady. At least 2 weeks. Friday, Gemma replied, adjusting her cream-colored suit jacket. I was hired to streamline operations, and your team is the definition of excess. Handle it yourself, or I'll have security escort them out. Your choice. She strode away, heels clicking sharply against the tile floor. My hands trembled as I opened my desk drawer and touched the stack of thank you cards my team had given me last month after we wrapped the Jasper project, cards filled with heartfelt words about belonging and purpose. This team had saved the company when sales plunged 18 months ago. We rebuilt everything from the ground up. While executives panicked in their meetings, no one knew, because we were behind the scenes solving problems others couldn't even identify. That night, I messaged everyone, green space, 7:01 p.m. One by one, they arrived at the small park behind our office building, 8 faces looking to me for answers, trust shining in their eyes. Our new manager wants you all gone by Friday, I said, watching shock ripple across their faces. But the Winton launch is next month, Bree protested. They can't. She says we're too expensive. What about our results? Owen asked softly. Apparently, they don't matter. Ela stood up, arms crossed. So that's it? 3 years of breaking ourselves for this company, and we're trash to be tossed out. I twisted the silver ring on my finger, a habit when my thoughts race. I nodded quietly when she told me what Gemma doesn't realize. You're not just my team. If you're wondering what happens next in this chaotic workplace drama, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. I post new stories every week about unbelievable workplace betrayals and the sweetest revenge twists you've never imagined. Drop a comment about the worst boss you've ever dealt with. I'm sure Gemma could compete. Now, let me take you deeper into how this all began. My name is Nora Reed. 5 years ago, I joined Monroe Technologies as a project coordinator, basically the person who keeps everyone else on track. I was quiet, efficient, and nearly invisible to upper management. What they never noticed was how I studied everything: what products thrived, which ones failed, how decisions were made, and most importantly, who truly kept the company running. It wasn't the executives with their polished titles. It was the people scattered through departments who solved crises without praise, the ones who stayed late without complaint, the ones whose ideas were stolen by managers but who kept creating anyway. When the company faced bankruptcy 18 months ago, panic rippled through every department. Sales had plunged 40% in 2 quarters, and 3 major clients had defected to competitors. Layoffs began, starting with the newest employees, talent aside. I approached the CEO, Hugo Price, with a proposal. Give me 8 people and 6 months to turn things around. No public announcement, no deluxe office space, just resources and the freedom to operate differently. Why should I trust you with this? Hugo asked, skepticism thick in his tone. Because everyone else is attempting the same solutions that landed us here, I answered. We need people who see the world differently. Reluctantly, he agreed. I chose 8 individuals everyone else had dismissed. Bree, a programmer who spotted patterns others overlooked. Owen, a designer whose drawings conveyed emotion, not just function. Layla, a customer service rep who remembered every client interaction. Raj, an accountant who questioned every spending assumption. Thomas, a janitor with engineering skills from his home country. Donna, a receptionist who spoke 7 languages and devoured industry reports. Kit, a delivery driver who understood our product failures better than our engineers. And Yvette, a cafeteria worker with 3 patents before immigrating here. We claimed an abandoned storage room as our headquarters while everyone else attended endless crisis meetings. We redesigned products, rebuilt customer relationships, and reimagined the company's entire workflow. Within 6 months, sales leveled out. By 10, growth had returned. The executives celebrated their bold leadership while we quietly kept refining systems nobody noticed until they worked. Hugo knew what we'd achieved. He doubled our budget and let us choose our own projects. We became the Special Solutions Initiative, though most employees had no clue we existed. Then came the restructuring. Hugo was pressured by investors to bring in efficiency experts, and that's when Gemma arrived. Gemma Wells had a reputation for cutting costs by erasing departments. She'd shut down entire divisions at 3 companies, delivering short-term profit spikes while leaving ruin behind. Industry circles called her the pruner. Our first meeting should have been my warning. "So you run this?" she said, pausing as she checked her tablet. "Special Solutions team, what exactly do you fix?" "We identify issues before they grow into crises," I explained, noting how our work on the Winton system prevented a major security breach last quarter. She scrolled through. "Numbers. Your team costs $1.2 million a year. That's excessive for support functions. We're not support. We're innovation. And every department claims they're essential, Nora." Her smile never touched her eyes. "I need measurable outcomes, not stories." I provided reports outlining our impact. $14 million in prevented losses, 5 new product features that boosted market share, customer retention gains worth $3 million annually. She set them aside without reading. "I'll review these when I have time." For 3 weeks, she shadowed departments, interviewed staff, and examined budgets. She never once spoke with my team or asked about their work. I watched her assemble her case against us, searching for proof to justify her predetermined verdict. That Friday, she demanded I fire everyone. I'd suspected it was coming. I hadn't anticipated the cruelty of the deadline. After my team gathered at the park, I shared what I knew. "Gemma's cutting everywhere, but we're first because she can't grasp what we do," I said. "She sees expenses without recognizing value." "So we're just supposed to accept this?" Ila asked, fury in her voice. "No," I said softly. "We're going to show her exactly who we are." "How?" Raj asked. "She won't even acknowledge us in the hallway." I smiled for the first time that day. "Remember how we fixed the Trenton distribution issue?" "By avoiding official channels," Owen said slowly. "By using relationships instead of protocols." "Exactly." I leaned in. "Gemma thinks knowledge moves through organizational charts. She doesn't realize it moves through people." "What are you suggesting?" Thomas asked. "A demonstration of value. But first, we need to look defeated." For the next 3 days, we followed a deliberate script, packing personal items slowly, transferring project files to shared drives, training replacement contacts for urgent tasks. To anyone watching, we appeared resigned to our fate. Gemma observed with obvious satisfaction when she stopped by my office Thursday afternoon. "I'm pleased you're handling this professionally," she said. "Some managers get emotional." "I understand business necessities," I replied, placing framed photos into a cardboard box. "This is why you'll survive the cuts." "You're practical," she tapped her tablet. "I've scheduled exit interviews tomorrow at 2 p.m. Security will collect access cards afterward." After she left, I sent one final message to the team. Activation Blue Protocol. Friday arrived with somber efficiency. My team cleared desks, said their goodbyes, attended exit interviews where Gemma explained their terminations with rehearsed sympathy. Security collected badges, passwords were changed, and email accounts deactivated. By 5 p.m., it was done. 8 brilliant people were officially no longer employees of Monroe Technologies. Gemma sent me a brief message: clean execution. Well done. I didn't reply. Instead, I made a phone call. It's time, I said. When Hugo answered, everything proceeded as planned. Are you sure about this, Nora? There's significant risk. I'm certain. Monday's board meeting. Full demonstration. Consider it approved, he said after a pause. The weekend stretched endlessly as I prepared. Sunday night, I could barely sleep, my mind racing through possibilities, contingencies, outcomes. By Monday morning, I felt calm in that strange way that comes after surviving intense anxiety. I arrived early, dressed in a deep blue suit I'd never worn to the office before. Gemma was already there, reviewing presentations for the quarterly board meeting. I've included your team's elimination in the efficiency highlights, she informed me. 10% immediate cost reduction is impressive. Thank you for featuring our contribution, I replied neutrally. She glanced at me, perhaps sensing something off in my tone, but was distracted by her ringing phone. At 9:00 a.m., board members began arriving. 12 men and women in expensive suits filed into the main conference room, greeted by Gemma with practiced charm. We have significant progress to report, she told them, pointing to seats. The restructuring is already showing results. I stood quietly at the back of the room, watching. At precisely 9:15, the side door opened. Hugo entered first, followed by 8 familiar faces, my team. Gemma's presentation stalled mid-sentence as confusion crossed her face. What are they doing here? She hissed at me. I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because the board members were standing, greeting my team with handshakes, hugs, and warm smiles of recognition. Gemma's polished composure faltered as she watched the chairman of the board, Alistair, embrace Thomas like an old friend. How's Elena doing with her science project? Alistair asked him. First place, Thomas beamed. The scholarship committee interviews are next week. Across the room, Victoria, our lead investor, showed Bree pictures on her phone. The coding camp was a huge success, Victoria said. 20 girls all creating their first apps. They still talk about your workshop. Gemma stepped toward Hugo, voice tight. What's happening? These people were terminated on Friday. Were they? Hugo replied mildly. I don't recall authorizing that. The board meeting hadn't even officially begun yet. The room had transformed into a reunion. Raj and the finance director discussed community garden plans. Kit chatted with 3 board members about weekend fishing results. Donna approached with a tray of coffee. She handed a cup to the eldest board member, Jerome. 1 cream, no sugar, with cinnamon, she said. Jerome squeezed her hand. Just how I like it. How's that grandson of yours doing at university? Top of his engineering class. That recommendation letter opened every door. Each interaction revealed connections I'd never disclosed to Gemma. Relationships built over years of genuine work, not polished corporate networking events. Gemma's eyes flicked between faces, mental calculations almost visible behind her expression. She grabbed my elbow, fingernails digging into my jacket. You set me up, she hissed, furious. You knew who they were. I gently removed her hand. You never asked who they were. You saw expenses on a spreadsheet, not people. Hugo called the meeting to order. My team didn't leave as Gemma clearly expected. Instead, they took seats scattered among the board, not grouped together as visitors, but positioned as participants. Before we begin our quarterly review, Hugo said, I believe we should address Friday's events. Gemma straightened her spine. As part of our efficiency initiatives, We eliminated an unnecessary specialty team that was draining resources without measurable return. Silence fell over the room. Then Jerome chuckled, a dry sound like autumn leaves. Unnecessary? You mean the team that saved this company? Gemma's professional smile faltered. The financial data clearly showed. Perhaps we should clarify what this team actually does, Hugo interjected. Nora, would you introduce the Special Solutions Initiative properly? I stood, feeling unusually calm. 18 months ago, when the company faced potential bankruptcy, I proposed creating a team that worked differently, unbound by traditional departmental limits, selected for problem-solving skills rather than titles. I gestured to each member as I continued. Bree redesigned our entire security system after identifying vulnerabilities no one else noticed. Owen's product updates boosted user satisfaction by 42%. Ela rebuilt client relationships we had nearly lost. With every achievement I listed, Gemma's expression tightened. She flipped frantically through her tablet, searching for information she'd never bothered to gather. But these accomplishments aren't in the quarterly reports, she protested. They are, Raj said, just not labeled as our work. We solve problems and hand solutions to the proper departments for implementation, which is why I continued. Terminating them without consultation was a grave mistake. The Winton launch next month relies entirely on their efforts. Alistair leaned forward. Gemma, did you review the team's actual contributions before making this decision? I requested data, she said defensively. What I received didn't justify their budget. I provided comprehensive reports, I countered, opening my laptop to display the email thread where she acknowledged receipt, but never discussed the contents. The projector showed our exchange. Detailed reports attached to multiple messages, her cursory responses devoid of engagement. Victoria frowned. So, you eliminated a team without understanding their function? I understood their expense, Gemma insisted. Efficiency requires difficult choices. Efficiency without effectiveness is just organized failure, Jerome said, murmurs of agreement rippling through the room. Hugo stood. Let's be clear about what happened. Gemma terminated 8 people whose work is critical to projects representing 30% of next quarter's projected revenue. The air in the room seemed to chill. Board members exchanged heavy, concerned glances. Fortunately, Hugo continued, Nora alerted me to the situation. Officially, these team members were transferred to special project status directly under board supervision. They never stopped working. Relief rippled through the room, followed by focused attention as Hugo launched into the quarterly presentation. Graphs showed improvements across all metrics, each spike secretly tied to my team's efforts. Throughout the presentation, Gemma sat rigid, eyes fixed forward, knuckles white against her tablet. Her carefully crafted narrative of heroic cost-cutting was unraveling with each slide. During a brief break, I stepped into the hallway for water. Gemma followed, confronting me by the cooler. You deliberately undermined me, she said, low but sharp. No, I replied. I gave you multiple chances to understand what we do. You chose not to listen. This isn't over. The board may be impressed by your little display of connections, but numbers don't lie. Your team is still overpriced. I filled my cup slowly. That's where you're wrong. The board isn't impressed by connections. They're impressed by results. Results, she said suddenly cold, can be reinterpreted. Reports can be reanalyzed. Something in her tone made me pause. What does that mean? She smiled thinly. It means I've been brought in to make difficult changes, and I won't be deterred by office politics or friendship networks. Before I could respond, we were called back in. The meeting resumed with project reviews, but I couldn't shake the veiled threat in her words. As presentations continued, I noticed Gemma typing rapidly on her tablet, occasionally glancing toward Hugo with calculation in her eyes. Whatever had happened this morning hadn't defeated her. It had merely altered her strategy. When the meeting ended, board members lingered to speak with my team. Gemma approached Hugo, speaking too quietly for me to hear. His expression stayed neutral, but he nodded several times before she departed. "What was that about?" I asked once I could speak with him privately. "She's requesting access to all financial data related to your team's projects," he said. "Says she needs to conduct a comprehensive analysis." "That's reasonable," I admitted. "But I don't trust her motives." "Neither do I, which is why I'm assigning Raj to assist her. Full transparency, full supervision." I nodded, relieved, but still uneasy. Over the next week, a strange calm settled. My team returned to their workspace, continuing projects as usual. Gemma retreated to her office, buried in spreadsheets and reports. She was polite when we passed in hallways, but offered nothing beyond professional courtesy. On Thursday, Raj reported back after 3 days working with Gemma. "She's searching for inefficiencies," he said, pushing his glasses up his nose, but also asking about decision processes, approval chains, who signs off on what. "Mapping the power structure," I mused. "Exactly. And she's particularly interested in the Winton project." The Winton launch was our most ambitious initiative, a complete platform redesign that would either cement our market position for years or fail spectacularly. Every member of my team had contributed critical pieces. "Keep watching," I told Raj. "Document everything." That evening, Bree called me with alarming news. "Someone's been in our project files," she said. "Security logs show access from Gemma's credentials, but examining parts of code only developers should touch." "Could she be copying our work?" I asked. "Worse. Some timestamps have been altered. Small changes to test parameters, modifications to security protocols." My blood ran cold. "She's sabotaging the project, creating just enough problems to make it fail at launch. Nothing obvious, nothing traceable." That night, I called an emergency team meeting at my apartment. 8 concerned faces gathered in my living room as Bree explained what she'd uncovered. "Can we fix it?" Ayla asked. "Already did," Bree confirmed. "I restored clean backups, but she doesn't know that." "She's trying to discredit us," Owen realized. "Make the launch fail, then blame our team's work." "Classic destruction pattern," Donna added. "She engineers failure, uses it to justify eliminating us permanently, then rebuilds in her image once we're gone." I paced across the worn carpet, thinking we need to understand her endgame. "This isn't just about cutting costs anymore." "It never was," Kit said quietly. "Check her history at previous companies. Same pattern. Eliminate innovative teams, restructure departments, then move on after short-term profits rise, before long-term damage is obvious." "But why?" Yvette asked. "What does she gain?" "Reputation," Thomas suggested. "Each success makes her more valuable at the next company." I stopped pacing. "No, there's something else." "Raj, did you notice any pattern in her questions?" Raj thought for a moment. "She focused heavily on approval processes for external vendors." The pieces clicked. "The vendors for Winton. Who selected them?" "We interviewed 12 possibilities," Owen said, recommending 3 to the board. "They picked Next Level and the other 2 finalists, Terrace and Vanguard Systems." I opened my laptop, scanning news articles from Gemma's previous companies. 3 restructurings, 3 companies, all contracting with the same technology provider. Vanguard Systems. "There it is," I whispered. "She's not just cutting teams, she's steering contracts." The room went silent as the implications sank in. "If Winton fails," Bree said slowly, "we'll need emergency services to fix it." "And Gemma will recommend Vanguard," I concluded, "a much larger contract than they would have won otherwise." "We need proof," Raj insisted. "This is a serious accusation." "We'll get proof," I promised. "But first, we need to protect Winton." We worked through the night, crafting a strategy. Risky, complicated, but potentially effective. As dawn broke, Tomas voiced what everyone was thinking. If we're wrong about her, this could backfire badly. And if we're right, I countered. Then she's even more dangerous than we thought, Ila said, because she's not just cutting jobs, she's undermining companies from within. I looked at each team member, people who'd become more than colleagues. Are we doing this? 8 nods answered me. That Monday, I requested a meeting with Gemma. She greeted me with cool professionalism, gesturing to the chair opposite her desk. I wanted to discuss Winton's final testing phase, I began. I've been reviewing the documentation, she replied. There are concerning gaps in the security protocols. That's actually why I'm here. The team identified potential vulnerabilities that require immediate attention. Interest flickered in her eyes. What sort of vulnerabilities? Critical ones. We need emergency support to address them before launch. In-house resources can't handle it, she asked, though I could see she already knew the answer. Not with the timeline. We need external specialists. She nodded, tapping her pen against her notepad. I might have recommendations. We were hoping you would, I replied, keeping a concerned expression. The board trusts your judgment on vendors. I'll prepare options by tomorrow, she said. This is exactly why companies need efficiency experts, to catch weaknesses before they become crises. As I left her office, my phone vibrated with a message from Bree. Access confirmed, recording everything. The trap was set. Now we just needed Gemma to walk right into it. The next morning, she called me into her office. 3 vendor proposals lay on her desk, logos clearly visible. Next Level, Tilleris, and Vanguard Systems. I've reviewed potential emergency support options, she said, sliding Vanguard's proposal forward. This one offers the most comprehensive solution. I examined it, noting the extensive services list and eye-watering price. It's considerably more than our initial budget. Quality costs, she replied smoothly. Would you rather save money or save the project? I trust your judgment, I said, studying her carefully. What's the process from here? I'll present this to Hugo today. Given the urgency, we should expect expedited approval. I nodded, expression neutral, heart racing. Will you need any supporting documentation from my team? No, she said quickly. I have everything I need. Your team should focus on preparing for the transition. As I left, Owen messaged me. Security footage confirms midnight office access, 3 consecutive nights. Pieces were falling into place faster than expected. Gemma wasn't just steering contracts. She was actively manufacturing the crisis to justify them. By afternoon, Bree had more news. She's contacted Vanguard directly. Call traced to her personal phone, not the office line. That evening, we gathered at Raj's apartment to review our findings. Security footage showed Gemma accessing our project files at 1:27 a.m. when the building should have been empty. Email records revealed deleted communications with Vanguard weeks before she identified Winton's issues. Financial analysis showed suspicious patterns at her previous companies, each hiring Vanguard shortly after restructuring. It's enough to raise serious questions, Raj said, but not conclusive proof of deliberate sabotage. We need more, I agreed, and we need it before Friday's emergency board meeting. Thomas looked up from his tablet. What if we give her exactly what she wants? What do you mean? Ila asked. Make it easy for her. Too easy. People get careless when they think they're winning. The plan crystallized. We would appear to stumble, creating an opening so tempting Gemma couldn't resist overreaching. Thursday morning, I entered Hugo's office with rehearsed anxiety. We've discovered critical issues with Winton, I told him, multiple security vulnerabilities suddenly appearing in previously tested code. His eyebrows shot up. How is that possible? We're investigating, but the launch is in serious jeopardy. Gemma suggested bringing in external support. Hugo frowned. That would blow the budget significantly. I know, But we may have no options. She's calling an emergency board meeting tomorrow to discuss solutions. I'll be there, he promised, concern etched on his face. Later that day, I made sure Gemma overheard me on a phone call. My voice deliberately stressed. We can't fix it internally, I said aloud. Too many. Corrupted files. Yes, I've told Hugo. No, we don't know how it happened. When I hung up, Gemma appeared in my doorway. Problems with Winton? She asked, barely hiding her satisfaction. Major ones? I confirmed. The presentation files for tomorrow are in the shared drive if you need them. That night, security cameras recorded Gemma entering the building at 11:42 p.m., heading straight to her office. As predicted, she accessed the presentation files, making substantial edits. She then entered our project database one final time. At 6:00 a.m., Bree confirmed. She took the bait, modified the demo files, and inserted additional errors, all recorded. Every keystroke, every file access, every phone call. By 9 a.m. Friday, the boardroom was tense. Members murmured as Gemma arranged her materials confidently at the head of the table. Hugo opened the meeting. We're here to discuss urgent issues with the Winton project. Gemma, you've been investigating. Gemma stood, projecting calm authority. Unfortunately, I've uncovered serious problems throughout the project, Gemma began. What started as minor concerns has revealed fundamental flaws in the development approach. She launched into a detailed presentation highlighting numerous issues, some real, most fabricated, all allegedly stemming from my team's work. These aren't simple bugs, she explained. These are architectural failures threatening the entire platform. Board members exchanged worried glances. Victoria leaned toward me, whispering, "Is this accurate?" I squeezed her hand under the table. "Wait," I whispered back. Gemma continued, building toward her solution. Given the timeline constraints and severity of issues, I recommend immediate intervention by external specialists. I vetted several options and identified the most qualified. She displayed Vanguard's proposal, emphasizing their experience and immediate availability. Their comprehensive solution addresses all identified problems, though it requires a budget adjustment. How significant an adjustment? Alistair asked. An additional $2.3 million, she stated calmly. The room erupted with concern and discussion. Gemma waited patiently, the picture of professional concern masking triumph. Hugo turned to me. Nora, what's your assessment? This was the moment everything hinged on. I stood slowly. Before responding, I'd like to run a quick demonstration. I connected my laptop to the projector. The screen displayed Winton's interface, sleek and fully functional. This is the actual current build of Winton as of this morning, I explained. I'll run a standard security test sequence. The system executed perfectly, security protocols engaging precisely as designed. Confusion rippled across the boardroom. Gemma's expression hardened. That's impossible, she said. The reports clearly showed critical failures in those exact protocols. Those reports were modified, I stated simply, just as the project files were tampered with. The room fell, silent. Serious accusation, Hugo said carefully. Do you have evidence? Comprehensive evidence, I confirmed, switching the display to a split-screen security recording. The left side showed Gemma entering the building Wednesday night. The right side displayed her computer screen as she methodically altered test results and inserted malicious code into project files. What is this? Gemma demanded, voice rising. This is footage from our security system and screen recording software, I explained. Standard protocol for all access to critical project files. I advanced to another clip. Gemma on her personal phone. We've created the necessary problems, her recorded voice said clearly. The board will approve emergency intervention tomorrow. Yes, the full $2.3 million, our usual arrangement for my consultation fee. The boardroom erupted in chaos. Gemma lunged for my laptop. "This is fabricated," she shouted. "They're trying to frame me." Security personnel entered, summoned by Hugo's discreet signal. "That's not all," I continued calmly despite my racing heart. "We've compiled similar patterns from her previous 3 companies. In each case, departments were eliminated, emergencies discovered, and Vanguard systems brought in at premium rates." Raj distributed folders containing financial analyses showing suspicious payments to offshore accounts following each Vanguard contract. "These are kickbacks," he explained. "Approximately 20% of each contract value was routed through shell companies back to personal accounts." Jerome studied the documents, expression grave. "The pattern is undeniable." Gemma's professional facade completely collapsed. "You set me up!" she snarled at me. "You created a trap." "No," I replied evenly. "We simply watched while you did exactly what you've done at 3 other companies. The difference is, this time we were paying attention." Hugo stood. "Security will escort you to clear your office, Gemma. The company lawyer is waiting to discuss next steps." Lawyer is waiting to discuss next steps. As she was led away, still protesting, the tension in the room shifted into stunned silence. "The Winton project was never at risk, was it?" Hugo asked quietly. "No," I confirmed. "We identified her pattern early and protected the actual files. What she tampered with were duplicates we created specifically to track her actions." Victoria shook her head in disbelief. "How long has she been doing this?" "Based on our financial analysis, at least 4 years across multiple companies," Raj explained. "Conservative estimate of total fraudulent contracts, $13.7 million. The meeting shifted from crisis management to recovery planning. As discussions continued, I watched my team. These 8 remarkable people who had saved the company yet again. Afterward, Hugo pulled me aside. "You could have brought this to me immediately," he said. "Why the elaborate operation?" "We needed irrefutable evidence," I explained, "and we needed to understand the full scope of her actions." Nodded slowly. "The board has decided to create a permanent position for your team with direct reporting lines to leadership. We're calling it the Strategic Integrity Division. Would you lead it?" 3 weeks later, the Winton platform launched flawlessly. My team celebrated in our new office space. No longer a forgotten storage room, but a proper department with resources and recognition. The morning news reported Gemma's arrest on multiple fraud charges, and her former companies began investigations into the contracts she had arranged. As we toasted our success, I looked around at these 8 people who had become family. "To seeing value in unexpected places," I said, raising my glass. "And to leaders who actually look," Ila added, nodding toward me. Sometimes the most powerful revenge isn't a dramatic confrontation. It's simply ensuring that the truth becomes visible. Gemma believed in cutting people without understanding their worth. What she never realized was that true value isn't found on spreadsheets, but in the connections, insights, and integrity of people who care deeply about their work. Her greatest mistake wasn't targeting my team. It was assuming we would go quietly. We didn't. And now she'll have years in a very different kind of office to reflect on that miscalculation. If you enjoyed this workplace revenge story, hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of justice served with a side of strategic brilliance. Have you ever worked with someone who underestimated your value or tried to take credit for your work? Share your experience in the comments below. I read every single one and might feature your story in an upcoming video. Remember, sometimes the best response to being undervalued isn't leaving, but revealing your true worth when they least expect it.